another interesting day, right?
Yeah, one of many. Every day is interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Can't play with people's emotions though. Can't be.
You can, but I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend it either. Especially when you get a knucklehead, and then it's like, oh man, big mess. So I hope those guys reconsider the challenges.
One would hope.
Yeah, one would hope, but when did sanity ever rule?
Right.
You know, I
Hey,
thought my
Gandhi.
yoga class was nonpartisan.
Right.
Since when?
Which guy?
Actually, in the 40 years I've been teaching yoga, only once did a woman after class get mad at me because I espoused uh, politics that were to the left of her Republican views.
Yeah.
I didn't know Republicans took my classes. So.
You got to do better vetting. Yeah.
They,
I gotta do better.
especially that restorative class, they love it.
Who let this woman in my class? But I could actually see her point. You know, I get carried away. All right, we're gonna start the class before you all go takes yoga with somebody left of me. I like to say I'm to the left of Gandhi, and I don't mean your cat, Larry.
She's right here. She heard that.
Oh.
Go. Come on.
Yeah. You all know Gandhi is Larry's cat. Okay, just so you know the reference here.
Say
All
hi,
right,
guys.
settle in, y'all. Hi, Gandhi.
Go.
So, before you meditate, open your eyes. Open your eyes. Hello. Open your eyes, everybody. Stop meditating. Look around. Right? You can see and hear and touch and feel and smell and taste. Right? So you're already aware. You're already awake. In a generic sort of way. So you don't need to do anything, right? You're aware, you're awake. The mind, to put it in Western psychological terms, the mind has an inherent capacity to cognize or know what is happening through our sense gates, right? And then we create concepts and thoughts about that. Okay. So, awareness is effortless, natural. Your nature of mind, they like to call it. You don't have to do anything to be aware. So then you can, if you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. And again, sometimes it's good to just realize that awareness is natural. It's not something super duper special, because sometimes in meditation we think we're looking for something special, some sort of special experience. But all experience, by its very nature, is impermanent. Or as Rinpoche says very simply, the mind is constantly changing, awareness never changes. Rest in awareness. It doesn't mean you're withdrawing into some sort of walled off space of silence and stillness. It's very natural. You're still thinking, you're still hearing, you still have numerous body sensations. If you've eaten or drank anything recently, a taste or smell might arise. There may be a feeling tone in your body, tension from the news of the day or other stuff, life stuff. And yet awareness just can rest in itself and know it all. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Saha Viryan Karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yogena Chitasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Chavaichikena Yopakaratam Pravaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjalir Anatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankachakasidarinam Sahasrashir Samsvetam Pranamami Patanjalim. Hari Om. And stand in Tadasana. We'll take a few basic standing poses to start. Root the four corners of the feet into the floor and feel the rebound up through the leg muscles. Relax and widen shoulders and collarbones. Open the front chest, but also then at the same time broaden the back ribs. So you don't squeeze the back ribs to the spine, don't spread the front chest wide. And the back ribs also spreading wide. Tailbone releases in very gently, very subtly, and from the tip of the tailbone ascending to the base of the skull. Okay, take Trikonasana to the right. Have a sense of very actively drawing the torso away from the groins, especially the right side. And then bring the spine with you from the tailbone to the base of the skull. Roll that upper armpit chest back. Yeah. And step out to Ardha Chandrasana, half move. If you're having a wobbly day, feel free to use a wall. Keep that right foot pointed toward the wall, Jeannie, and have the block outside the foot. Don't turn your foot in. Lift the left hip and leg at the same time. Not just the leg, but the hip as well, energetically at least. Don't worry if you lose your balance. If you play the edge, you're going to lose your balance. That's fine. Then step back into Parshva Konasana. And inhale, come up. Left leg out, right leg in. Extend into Trikonasana to the left. So extend from the center arch through the toes on both feet and pull the back of the thigh muscles up on both legs from behind the knee to the sit bones. And lengthen actively that both sides of the torso, but with the emphasis on the left side. And the spine moves with you. Lengthen. You're not trying to push the spine from the back to the front. You're extending it along that line from the coccyx to the base of the skull. Then step out to Ardha Chandrasana. Make the leg longer to lift it. Lift the leg by making it longer. Lift the hip energetically. You pull up on the Tadasana thigh and then lift that hip off the standing leg as high as you can and bring the leg with it. There you go. And step back to Parshva Konasana. And deep inhale, breath brings you out of the pose and step back into Tadasana. Okay, do use a support. So, for example, I have facing the wall with my right leg out, my left foot in. So I take my left arm up and around, starting in Parivrtta Trikonasana, and then you'll be stepping out and up to Parivrtta Ardha Chandra. Start by facing the wall or the support. Have the left foot close to the wall, right leg out, left foot in. Take the left arm up and around and down into revolved triangle. If you need a block under that left hand, have that ready. Use the wall to, so the right hip should push the left hip toward the wall. But face the wall to start, that's it. And then lift off the standing arm and turn. There you go. You got it. That's it.
Okay.
Right, left, it's hard to tell these days. Larry, that stance is a little too wide. So, you started properly. There you go. Okay. All right. Step out and up to Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. Use the wall for support. Take the block out so it's under your shoulder joint. So from the left wrist to the right hand, it's a straight line. Go ahead and lean into the wall. It's okay. Left arm down, right arm up. Revolved half moon, Martha. No, you're good. Just lift your back leg. Like that guy over there by the rope wall. So turn, rotate, get that top shoulder blade toward the wall. Push the right hip toward the wall. And lift from the root of the thigh and hip. Okay, and step down and come back to Tadasana. No, sorry, just turn to the left. You're going to go right into the second side. So come up, left leg out, right foot in. The left foot can be a little away from the wall, but have the right toes near the wall, turned in, of course. Your right arm up and down and around. Push the left hip toward the wall. Turn your navel, your floating rib. Lift off your right arm and turn. Step out to Ardha Chandrasana. You can use that ledge there, the door jamb or the wall rope, or that ledge by your head,
The doorknob.
allegedly.
Oh.
The alleged yogi did the alleged yoga posture. Okay, and step down. And then step wide and go into Prasaratapadottanasana, wide stance, forward bend, but have the trunk and arms out in a dog pose angle. Roll that outer heel ankle up. Roll more toward the inner heel, but at the same time, extend the fourth and fifth toe. So you're activating the outer and inner arch. Connect that to lifting, drawing the legs up into the sockets. Then keep that length in the side ribs. As you walk the hands back, take the trunk and head down. Walk the hands back under the wrists, if you can, elbows in. Reactivate the arches of the feet. And then gradually come back to concave spine. And then stand up. If you need to heel toe in a little bit, of course you can do that. All right, then take Ardha Mukha Svanasana, down face dog. Slightly grip toward the bone from the outer wrist to the shoulder blades. At the same time, though, widen the shoulder blades as you extend out of your armpits and your neck. Keep the neck long, untuck the chin a little. Press the ball mounds, pull up on the shins and inner thighs. Don't so much try to take the heels to the floor, but keeping the shins sharply lifted, extend the heels back away from the ankle bones. Then walk, step, or jump into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. And inhale back to Tadasana. Then take Shirsasana, headstand if you can, or some head supported forward bend, or use your headstander. So the amount of weight on the head also always varies, day to day, often even within the same pose. So from the grounding of the forearm, elbow toward the wrist, and there is weight on the head. You can ground the forearm bones more if you need to, and then lift and broaden the shoulder blades so there's no weight on the neck. But however much weight is on the head, make sure you're not actually pushing the head into the floor. You don't have to do that. Gravity does that. It rests on the floor, may have more or less weight. The neck can tell you should never feel weight on the neck. The back of the internal part of the back of the skull, the occipital bone, just has a very subtle, it's not by any means pushing. Move the inner back skull toward the floor. Make sure it's not tipping toward where the neck is coming out of the base of the skull. It's very subtle though. It's not by any means a sense of pushing down from the back of the skull. It's a releasing, grounding action. Take Baddha Konasana legs. Keep the wide lift of the shoulders. Side body long from armpit to hip. If you can, extend the legs to the sides or back up if you don't do that variation. Outer hips, outer thighs, very compact. Sucking the head of the femur to the socket, grounding the inner thigh deep in the socket. And then internally rotating the thighs, bring them back up to perpendicular. Wait there. And the breath takes you out of the pose. Keep breathing so you don't hold any pressure in the brain on the way down, your eyes. Rest with the head down. Then take Supta Virasana. This is as much height as you need. If you don't need a lot of height, feel free to go lower. So I'm defining old by I cannot do Supta Virasana anymore. So I'm not old yet. What's the name of that band, Betsy? Old and in the Way? Dave Grissom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on.
Tony Rice.
So settle onto your support. You want to be able to really feel like you can rest, that you're not gripping the middle or lower back ribs. The top of the buttock extends toward the sit bones, out of the lower back, and then the waist extends away from there. Be careful not to push the lumbar spine toward the belly. Extend from the top of the buttock and the floating ribs gently in opposite directions to create a little bit of traction and dynamic. And continue to release the back ribs and rest on your support. We've been working with gently, slightly, subtly slowing down, lengthening the exhale. Noticing them, recognizing that moment of suspension, pause as the exhale becomes the inhale. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Less is more when you work with breath. Soft, slow exhale. Let the mind be present at that moment. Natural point of pause and suspension. It's not holding the breath. We'll just receive the inhalation. The inhalation will come a little, but you shouldn't feel like you have to pull the breath in or rush to finish the exhale. So it always takes a few breaths to find the rhythm. It can be subtle. It doesn't have to be super slow or long. So each breath sets the stage for refining the next breath. And as you come to that natural pause and suspension, as you recognize that, also recognize the state of the mind at that moment. So that a moment of pause that's reflected in the mind. Now relax the intentional breath and just resting breath awareness. Come up and stretch your legs out. And that practice of lengthening the exhale, you can do that at any time during the day. If you need to chill out or calm down and watch too much news. He even says in Light on Pranayama that that breath can be done during the day at any time. You just take a few moments, connect with your breathing, and because the exhalation is just a tiny bit longer, slower. It's nothing dramatic. Okay. Viparita Dandasana. Betsy wants to jump into Chaturanga. Oh, well. Go ahead, Betsy. No? You're done with that too?
Yeah.
There you go. I can show you an advanced variation of Chaturanga. It's called Urdhva Mukha Chaturanga Dandasana.
Ooh. Yeah.
Much easier.
That's a good one.
That's my favorite variation.
Very advanced.
All right. You can read the Dandasana or use your back bender, Larry, if you like, or your chair. Whatever works tonight. free to add the arm variations anytime. Some people like to do it right away, some people like to do it later, and some people don't like to do it at all. And all of that's fine. Roll the thighs in, broaden the sit bones, broaden the sacrum, roll the pelvic ribs toward each other, and ground the femur. Extend the front of the spine. Draw the side back ribs away from the pelvic rim. So it helps to draw the spine away from the anchor of the legs and pelvis. Breathing freely, extend the armpit, chest, and dome over the chair. So the upper breastbone and collarbones have a sense of moving away from the chair, even though you're doming. It's not being pulled back toward the thoracic spine. It's inviting the thoracic spine to dome along with it. It's like the inner and outer curve of a rainbow. So Betsy, go ahead if you can, slide to the floor with your head. Those of you who can go to that next stage, you can, or just stay where you are. Okay, now Betsy, make the shoulder blades sharp, side armpit ribs up. Don't worry if the elbows don't touch. Elbows in though. Right. Everybody come out of that happy pose. Get a little 1, 2, 3 dome momentum. Spontaneously, twisting to the right and left seems to arise. Or not. Alright, we'll have to go through that in some detail, but not tonight. Alright, come out of the chair. Sarvangasana, shoulder stand. So actually, Sarva actually means all of the limbs. Anga, limb, like Ashtanga, 8 limbs, right? Sarva really means more like holistic or complete or all-encompassing. Halasana. And then gradually roll out of the pose. And set up a supported Setu Bandha, where you can stay there, David. You probably need to do supported for one, though. It's a great way to do it. 2 thumbs up. So the chest should have a sense of moving toward the head without jamming the chin. Let the chin float. So like the back bend in the chair draws the thoracic spine out with it. The same dynamic in the legs and the hips, the extension of the waist, feeding the doming of the chest, but without any tension in the neck or throat. Rhythmic breathing. Inhale, exhale. Okay, we're going to take Janu Shirsasana. Drop this down a little. So right leg forward, left leg back. But we're going to start not by going over the right leg, but by just going forward from the hips, in between the legs, stretching out. Take your time. We haven't done a bunch of forward bends. Reach back from the sitting bones with that inner rotation of the thigh. As you receive the pose, you can go further out and down. And keeping the torso fairly low, bring the left hand around, but take your right arm at a diagonal out to the side. So it's drawing that right side body. You can even put some pressure on that right hand and twist your floating ribs. As you lengthen that right side, the left rib cage shifts and moves to the right over the right thigh. Left hand to the foot, right hand to the side. That's it. Inhale, breath come up, change sides. I'll start by going forward between the hips. Gradually, probably no other way but gradually. And rotate around to the left leg, right hand to left foot. Gradually extend that left arm to the side. Just that left buttock to the inner sit bone. To lengthen the left side and lumbar spine. Move the right rib cage to the left over the thigh. And inhale, come up. Then take a supported forward Pastinottanasana. Finding a comfortable height for you. And take Shavasana. Let go, let loose everywhere, letting the nerves and breath gradually settle from dynamic postures. Simply remain present in that process. what merit gathered through the practice, lasting happiness and welfare, freedom for all beings everywhere.
Om Pranamada Pranamadan Pranamadachite Pranasya Pranamadaya Pranamavivavashishite Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om
Namaste.
Namaste.
Stay well, everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Be well.